Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-wife we aren't a team and I'm the only one to make parenting decisions? Hello everyone, posting this because I've been extremely conflicted after this last argument with my ex. I don't want to diminish her accomplishments, and I hope it doesn't come across that way in the post. For context, when I was young, I married who I thought was my soulmate and had 2 kids together, a daughter and a son. Unfortunately, I did not know my wife was an addict and alcoholic when we married. She hid it extremely well, until a few years in, I began noticing patterns and eventually confronted her. We split when the oldest was 3, and she signed over custody. I know she ended up being homeless a while after our split because her parents didn't want anything to do with her. Did not know anything besides that. Then she contacted me about a year back and told me she was 3 years sober, had a stable job at home. I checked with her family and everything, and yeah, she was telling the truth. She really wanted to meet her kids, and while I was a little upset at the "her kids" line, I eventually decided it wasn't my decision to make and left it up to the kids, who are now 16 male and 17 female, going on 18. They decided they wanted to meet her, and that was that. They have been hanging out with her about twice a week, and I let her come over for dinner almost every night. No sleepovers at her place as of now. So far, they've kind of have the aunt-ish relationship with her, but they do seem to be enjoying it. Which brings me to our conflict. I am far from being a great dad, but I honestly believe I am a good one. I've built trust with my kids through therapy and heart-to-hearts over the years. They're fairly popular at their school, and they recently got invited to a party that I gave them the go-ahead to go. I've spoken to them about the dangers of alcohol, drugs, etc., and they know I am always available to pick them up in a situation they don't want to be in. They also know why me and their mother split up. The kids came home around 11 and just gave me the teen-type rundown. Who was there, they couldn't believe who did what, blah blah. They also were honest with me and told me they tried Jell-O shots, which they thought were gross. That was the end of that. They weren't drunk, they weren't buzzed. They tried a drink and that was that. They were there for 2 hours and came home. Well, I guess they brought up the party in front of their mother that following breakfast meetup, and she was livid. She tried to ground them from electronics and socializing for 2 weeks. They said it was really awkward and asked me to pick them up without much of the details. While they were waiting in a car, I spoke to her, and when she told me, I honestly laughed. I asked her what gave her the right. She responded that she really wants to be a mother to her kids, and I should give her the chance to parent. That she's giving 100% to this to make this work. I told her it's way too late for that. The kids are basically adults, have part-time jobs, pay for their phone bills/clothes by choice, and are deep into their plans for adulthood. She then told me I was robbing her chance to make things right, and asked what was the point of letting her into their lives if I wasn't letting her be a mom. That we needed to be a team because she needed my support. And here's where I might be the a-hole. I told her the kids are well past the age of asking me why mommy doesn't love them when crawling into my bed at night, and that she was welcome to leave again. And as far as being a team, the only team is me and my kids. I am their parent. They listen to me and respect me because I've listened to and respected them their whole lives. We have not spoken since then, now going on a week and a half. She has still texted the kids good mornings/night messages, but has skipped 2 meetups they usually have so far. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She needs to know her place. It's great she got clean, but she missed out on basically their entire childhood. She now needs to accept she won't have that mother/kid relationship with them like she wants. I agree. I just don't want this experience to kill the effort she put in. I do believe she can have a relationship with the kids, and they also seemingly want some type of relationship with her. But they aren't kids. My daughter is hoping to study abroad in Germany because she wants to move there. This is past the dreamer level because she's put a lot of time into it already and has her scholarship applications planned out. I think your last interaction with her warrants a text to her to discuss things. While it's impossible for her to mommy to her children, it is still possible for her to be mom to her adult children if she builds her relationship the right way. I'd focus on burying, but not forgetting the past, and to not screw up the future over it. I have friends who have similar stories to your children, and they were able to salvage a relationship with a parent after many years of them not being around. They would say, my dad may not have been there for the first 10 years, but for the last 20 he has been nothing but supportive and loving. I know this is stupid, but this made me bawl a little. I truly want my kids to know even just 1/10 of the woman I knew. If she can become that woman for them, I'm for it. I just hope I'm not in the way. Hey, you're honest. If you haven't put in the work and been there, almost adult teens don't need you getting involved. And it doesn't matter how much you want to participate, if it's your own choices in life that made you lose that relationship. Not the a-hole. Like I mentioned in the post, I don't want to discredit her. She knew I wasn't going to let some freshly sober stranger around my kids. She did seemingly work hard at it and started repairing the smaller relationships first before she decided she was ready to try and face us. It's just unfortunate she was this late. She is closer to being the woman I knew when we met now than our entire marriage. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to divorce my husband over kids? I, female 29, knew from a young age I don't ever want to have or raise children. I met my husband in college, and he was decidedly child-free too. We got married a couple of years back. My husband's younger sister, female 24, has 3 kids, male 5 and 2-year-old twins with different deadbeat guys. 2 months ago, she left all of them at our house. Said she was going on an errand and never came back. Just left. We filed a report and everything, and last we heard, she was safe, but did not want to come back. My husband's mom is a minimum wage worker barely scraping by. She used to be a single mom and did not want to raise these kids. I don't want to raise them either. Don't get me wrong, I feel bad for them. But raising kids is a huge responsibility I don't want to take up. In the 2 months they were here, our expense has increased. We had to buy them clothes and stuff, and they are sleeping in our living room on air mattresses as we only have 1 bedroom. I had to work from home and look after them because my husband cannot get work from home, and daycare for 3 is expensive. It has been really rough to say the least. CPS did get involved and asked us whether we want to keep the kids or not. I do not. I thought my husband would be on the same page, but he wants to keep the kids. CPS has asked us to decide quickly and make necessary changes. Get a bigger home for one. My husband and I have gone back and forth on this. I cannot live the next 16 years like this. Raising kids is hard and expensive, but he wants to be there for his family, which I get. So yesterday I told him I want a divorce, quickly, before he made any commitments and dragged me into it with him. He called me an a-hole for divorcing over kids, for abandoning him when he needed me. I told him he knew my boundaries well in advance, and this was a commitment, children, that he is unilaterally deciding on. Am I the a-hole? Edit. This is not relevant, but it is increasingly annoying when 1 out of 5 comments are telling me about wedding vows. We did not do traditional wedding vows. We do not believe until death do us part. Our vows did include not having children. Our vow was to stay together till staying apart made us happier than staying together will. Staying in a toxic relationship where you hate each other's guts just because you made a vow was never appealing to us. While some may think you're a hard person for your decision, you are not the a-hole. You had this crazy idea that you would get to remain child-free when you married someone who also wanted to be child-free. It's not like you're not agreeing on what temp to set the furnace or what color to paint the kitchen. This is about as huge as it gets, and he made a choice he made, without caring about your feelings. I think he cares about her feelings. It's a horrible situation. He's right for stepping up though. Those kids have already been abandoned once by someone who is supposed to love them. Unfortunately, there is no right answer. Put the kids in the system is an a-hole move. Ignoring your wife's feelings and future plans is an a-hole move. He really has no choice but to be an a-hole in some way. He's choosing to put the innocent children above even his wants and desires. It's not that he doesn't care. He's just making the best decision for the kids. He can choose to step up, but he cannot force OP to step up as well. And it feels like he just dumped them on her to deal with. I can't fault either of them. Only a-hole here is the sister. The sister who abandoned her children is the absolute a-hole. If you don't want to help him with the kids, then leave. He didn't want kids either. They were dumped on him. I can certainly understand why he can't throw them out though. If there is truly no one else to care for them and sister has been reported and all the necessary avenues have been taken as far as she goes, then it comes down to putting them in foster care or caring for them. He probably wouldn't be able to live with himself if he put them in foster care. I wouldn't be able to either. He should start the process of hunting her down for child support immediately though. I'd say to Opie, if you have a sibling and he/she has kids and dumped them on you, and either you had to care for them or put them in foster care, what would you do? If you have no siblings and no nieces or nephews, it's really hard to put yourself in his shoes to answer that though. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend after she was assaulted? My ex-girlfriend, female 24, and me, male 25, were at a bar last Friday, and when I left for 5 minutes to grab a hot dog as the bar stopped serving food at 11 p.m., I came back and found my girlfriend dancing intimately with a guy. I was angry, and I left an argument where she didn't really seem to understand why I was angry and called me dramatic and insecure. I decided this wasn't for me on my way home, because she was rubbing herself against the dude, but also because she dismissed me being hurt. However, I decided to sleep on the matter because we were both drunk, and I would give her another chance to explain. Next morning, I woke up to a million texts from her. She was asking me where I was and to come back. This was until 2 a.m. and then later at 7 a.m. from her mother telling me that ex-girlfriend was assaulted and beaten and that she was in the hospital. Since that day, I have been harassed by her family calling me out for leaving her drunk in the middle of the night. While I do feel bad for what happened to her and some guilt, I still don't know what I was supposed to have done. But now her mother tells me that I need to visit her. But I said that I wanted to make it clear that we are broken up. Decided that before anything happened, and that if I visited, maybe it would be worse, because she might think we are back together. I've talked to my family and they don't know what to say. It is all an unfortunate situation altogether, and I have no problem being there for her and supporting her. But wouldn't that give her the impression that we are back together? I don't want to add to her hurt, but at the same time, I'm done with this relationship. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Info. Does the ex know you broke up with her? You said you were both drunk, and also said you decided to sleep on the matter. I don't know. I couldn't just tell her it is over when I found out what happened. But her texts were angry, and she threatened to end it if I didn't come back. And the last one she called me insecure was. It was strange, because before I left, I told her I was going home, and that she could take an Uber home to her place because I didn't want to see her until we have sobered up. Have you showed her mom these messages? You need to break up with her. She completely disrespected and borderline cheated on you depending on what your boundaries were. Man, that title is really kind of misleading. Based on that, I was initially ready to throw out the YTA vote. But after reading it, what were you supposed to do? It seems to me that the relationship ended a few hours before she was assaulted. How are you to know that something so horrible were to happen to her? Nobody is at fault for her being assaulted except for the man who did it. Not the a-hole. I was asking if I should suck it up and be there for her until she's stronger. Then we can part ways. Nah, dude. Block the whole lot. It sucks it happened to her, but it is not your fault. And it's not on you to help her feel better, especially if it's just going to open more doors to her and her family berating you. If you haven't made it clear to her that you're not with her anymore, send her a text, then block. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not supporting my sister in having a baby? My female 32, sister Emma, female 29, has always wanted to have kids and be a stay-at-home mom. That's literally all she dreamed about. A big wedding, house, kids. I have a very different idea of life in the opposite direction, as in career and child-free. Let me be clear, I am not ditching her choice. Every person has right to their own choices. But I do not think forcing other people to bear brunt of your choices is good. To get to the story, our parents spent a fortune on my sister's wedding. She got married around 5 years ago, but they have trouble conceiving and has already gone through 2 sets of IVF. It is sad. Our parents don't have any money to help them, and neither does brother-in-law's family. From what I know, they don't have savings, are renting and have not paid off their student loans. So a few weeks ago, they asked if I could help them, and I said no. They asked why, and I just said my answer is no. I am sorry for them, but I won't give them money. They kept pushing about it, saying how I go on exotic vacations and own a house already. I do. I worked hard in college with full scholarship and immediately got a well-paying job. I lived within my means and saved up to buy my own house. It's not much, just a 2 BHK apartment. But to me it's great. I said my financial status is none of their business. If they want to have a family, they need to be able to afford it themselves, not ask me. My sister got mad at me saying I am refusing to help her because I hate children, that I am punishing her for her choices. I said I'm doing no such thing. She is entitled to her choices, but I'm not obliged to fund her. She is really mad at me for not helping, and my parents are asking me too. They're saying no matter my choices, I should support my sister since I can. I'm still not on board since I believe only people who can afford kids should have them, and that I shouldn't have to pay for her choices. My sister, her husband, and his family are calling me an a-hole though. Am I? Not the a-hole. You are not, in any universe, responsible for your sister's fertility issues. Your sister can get a job to fund her treatments and be a stay-at-home mom once the baby is born. Not the a-hole. Exactly. I don't get it. I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and still hope I do someday. However, I've always planned to work after marriage and before baby, even if I married someone with a good amount of money. What harm can possibly come from having a little more saved up? It really makes zero sense to refuse to work when you don't have a baby yet, but require expensive IVF treatments. Also, are you just never going to work again if you don't ever have a child? IVF is 5 figures minimum. You are not required to fund that for anyone. Also, how are they going to afford a kid then? Not the a-hole. Meanwhile, OP's vacation trips probably nowhere near 5 figures a year. Yet this has turned parents expect OP to fund more IVF treatments, while the previous 2 already failed badly. Even worse, if it does become successful, they're going to expect OP to fund a childcare and life of that baby as if she's the parent. Yeah, not the a-hole. It's clear her family is trying to financially take advantage and use her. She wouldn't be wrong to cut them off. It's completely irrelevant. She can spend millions a year on her vacations, and she would still be not responsible for her sister's issues. I was coming here to say this. She can spend 6 figures on private planes, and it still wouldn't be any of anyone's business. Spend your money any way you like, OP. Still isn't anyone's business.